So I want to make sure that those who are listening to us also are not having breakups. So if anyone is here, hello. And if there's any breakup and one cannot properly listen because of maybe the breakups, feel free to signal so that we know that we're passing the information. Thank you, Chinelo Tago, for the amazing work and for also devoting your time in the community to um, bring light in some subject, especially to that which concerns career possibilities. And I'm glad that the aspect of social work has been spotlighted, which means that whoo, people now start see that social work is it's a potential career opportunity. And yes, indeed, it is really a profession with meaning, a profession that gives sense to life, and it's a profession that is broad. And usually, when people do social, they're doing, let's say, charity work, and they're helping people one way or the other, they automatically conclude, oh, that's social work. Of course, doing good to the community is social work. So everything you're doing to help people is social. The doctor is doing a social work, the nurse is a social work, everyone, the pastor is a social work, everyone is doing social work, right? But now today we are going to be talking in depth about the profession itself, social work. Myself, I'm a trained social worker, social educator, what we call social pedagogy, and a lecturer at the University of Esslingen, where I spent 3.5 years studying the techniques, the method, the skills, the tools that we'll need to be able to, and the theories that we need to be able to back up and to do the work of social work professionally. So today we're going to define what is social work, and I will explain and give examples, and everyone out there can choose to define what they think social work is, because I won't put that in nobody's mouth. And then I'm going to show you the different facets, the different areas of social work, the different perspectives of social work. And of course, we're also going to talk about what you need to become a professional social worker. The work of social work, what is that exactly? We're doing social work and charity work, right? And then at the end of the day, I want to use, of course, the opportunity to talk about Sompon Social Services, with the intention that we can gain one or two persons from the community who may want to study social work, and why not, they may want to do that with Sompon Social Services. So let's start back from the beginning. Definition of social work. Now, when when did social work become something, a professional work? Because many people from the African continent, from where I come from, Cameroon, or again in Cotonou, Benin, where I was a few months ago, when people have the conversation, they are wondering, when I tell people I'm a social worker, they are wondering, what do you do then? And fortunately, we have the structures in our different part of this country. The structures of social work are already established. The only difference is that they are not really implementing them like it ought to be. But when did this social work altogether really begin? Let's take the context of Germany. Now, we call it social work, and then we also have social pedagogy. The social work, it's actually the work directed to adults, to adults and adults who are in need. And then social pedagogy is the work directed to children and youth who are also in need. And before the 1960s, the people believed actually that when you do, especially the rich people, if you do not give something, if you do not give back to the community, if you do not help the poor, because social work was like helping the poor, helping the needy, helping the sick. If you do not help, then you will not go to heaven. So you see that immediately it was like attached to a kind of Belohnung, like a kind of uh, compensation. So I have to do something good so that I'll be able to go to heaven. That's why we have the diacony and also the caritas really involved, because it came from that perspective, from that religious perspective as well. But as time went on, it evolved. Now, then the first word we heard in 1925, now that we were talk now, they were talking about children and women help, not to help. They came up with women groups, and it was to help women and young girls. That was already around the 1925, now, which could also be linked back to 1893. And then, of course, the very first time that the word came as the introduction of the word social work was in 1967. And of course, Alice Solomon in Germany context plays an enormous role in the aspect of professionalizing social work. So social work has been professionalized in Germany, and that word social Arbeiterinnen or social worker was really for the first time established by 1967. Now, um, and the same time also social pedagogy was also declared, or was also the first time that was social pedagogy was also established 1967. And we saw that also in a different context with the social pedagogy was the kindergarten that started, and we started with kindergarten and hot in those days. So we go out from there, but that's not yet the definition, right? Because up to now, we are seeing that it started from the perspective that people wanted to help the poor, help the needy, help the less privileges in the society, the adult, or again the young people. And the young people is the pedagogy, and then the adult is the social work, right? Or senior work, or we work with old people. Now let's talk about the different facets. When people hear social work, so if you only hear social work and you think everything we do is social work, and it will become very difficult now to really limit it to the between the charity work that I'm doing from my personal perspective, or the professionalism. And now this is where it becomes very interesting for many people. Social workers and social work is a broad field. Social workers are in hospitals. So for those who are medical people, they should have known by now that there is a very big abteilung, a very big domain in the hospital for social workers, because they take care of the patient, not the medical way, but now in their social needs. When the patient have problems, then a mother comes to the hospital with the child, and it's not the role of the doctor to find out where the child by all means is going to sleep. It is the social worker that finds out, now intervenes to support the work of the doctor, so that they can be able to do their work properly. So social work is in the hospital. We have social work in the court, in court. There's also the need of social work there. We have in seniorenheim, in old people's homes, social workers are there. They have their own assignment to be able to accompany the old people, support them, and lead them. We have also what we call the Arbeitsagentur. For those who are in Germany, Arbeitsagentur, social workers are also there. They are the ones that orientate people. They're the ones that give Umschulungen. They're the ones that counsel the people. If you are having debt, you cannot pay your debt. Who is the one to counsel? It's a social worker who is there. If you are looking for a job and you go to Agentur für Arbeit, who is there? The lady who is sitting there actually is a social worker. right? So again, the social workers are there. Again, on the street, we have street social workers that they're professional social workers, but their area of specialization is a street social worker. In companies, social workers are there. So, because workers, employees, and owners of businesses also get sick, they also get burnout, they also get depression, they also get all these problems, they also get family problems. Um, a case like Daimler, for example, they have established a very good area for children and families so that the pedagogy, which is with the children, the workers have a space where their children can go. So you see, the Unternehmer, the companies, Daimler, for example, now have also created a specific uh, Abteilung, a specific area for the workers. Again, social workers are also in companies. Now, social workers are also in governments. Now, so they sit there and also like government workers. We have social workers in behinderte Einrichtungen, in homes for people with handicaps, and they are there to guide them. And of course, in diverse fields, we can't name them all. So a social worker is someone that has been trained and given tools to do preventive work, as well as be able to handle, to take actions, intervene using different methodology. But the main aspect is actually the empowerment aspect, so that the social worker empowers using the resources that the individual has to be able to meet the needs of the individual, and also to be able to support the individual so that they become themselves the instruments to perfect their life, or again to achieve their purpose in life. Now, on the other side, social pedagogic or social pedagogy, who are they? They are in their kindergarten, school, youth homes, youth groups, hotel where children go together and they're learning together. So there again, a social worker is there. That's what they call them, Schulsozialarbeiten, no? Arbeiterin. So a social worker is also in school to be able to help the young person, orientates them when the young person has problems at home. The social worker is there to help. Now, what do you need to become a social worker? That's also a very important question. Points to note is a social worker, to become a social worker, you need a 3 years, 3.5 years training at the university. And yes, we are also partners with two universities at the moment, so we can train social workers also in Sompon Social Service. You do 3.5 years. For that, you need the qualification that requires you to go to the university, and you all know what is that, the A levels or factual Reife, and then you go to the university. There are two kinds of universities. One is the Fachhochschule, where you go in for the theory, and then one semester is allocated for the practicals. But now there's another one that I really would recommend every other person to do, is the dual studium, which means that you go to school 2 days a week, and then 3 days you go to work. So you have a real combination of work and school. This is a brilliant one for me, because social work is usually also a practical work. Of course, we need the theory, and we need the laws, we need the law book, we need all this, and therefore it's so practicable that you learn in school 2 days, and then you apply it in the office or where you are working. That makes it really good. And so what are the qualifications, what are the characteristics, the things that the social worker should be able to have? Important is that the social worker should be convincing enough, should be very empathetic, should understand the principle writing concept, You don't think only with your stomach. Concept work is important, and then the law books is your best friend. So you have to know the law, even though you're not a legal lawyer per se, but you should know the law so that you can be able to better help your client. Now, at least you know where to say this law number, this says that will guide you, and you can better help your client. So, what's the difference between the social work and then social charity work? I think the main difference is the fact that social work is professionalism with structures behind it, and charitable works usually, of course, there should be there are a group of people, they're individuals, and it's always short terms. Let's say there's a catastrophe now somewhere, and we gather together to help for that catastrophe. That can be on one hand, seen in social areas of work, but it's not social work per profession, right? And but the profession on its own is the ability to vermitteln, to counsel, to use the law book to bring out the right of the client, to use the resources that the client has, and also to be able to be like a middleman between the offices, the structures that exist in organization structures, and your client. Now, what are the possible career possibilities with us, Sompon Social Service, and of course, the work, social work on its own? If you as someone, you always wanted to help people, you always wanted to coach people, you always wanted to lead people, guide people, and you have your abitur or you have Fachhochschulreife, then you just need to apply. You can become a social worker with us in our area of youth and children work, in the area of family help, family support, in parents education. You can become in the migration counseling, or again also in looking for job for people, so with what we call Arbeitsvermittlung, and training people. So those are the different perspectives that we can offer you also in Sompon Social Service. And for this, you need to apply for the studium, for the school, or again, if you're looking for a job and you have the qualification, then hey, that means send your application for a job, and then let's see if we can fit you into our team as well. So social work, for me, in conclusion, is the ability, from all the works I've done, is ability to awaken and to strengthen, empower, using the resources that people have themselves, and creating perspectives, new dreams, the dead dreams and the dead visions, recreate them, transform that person to become themselves, the people they want to become. Now, most of the people in working at the working agencies are trained social workers. So when you go to the Agentur für Arbeit, what is that? You're looking for a job. Or maybe you just lost your job and then you go for where you get your money. So on that area must not always be social workers. But for the area where it's about looking for a job, most of the time they are social workers, trained social workers and pedagogy. Why? Not why. What is their job? Their job is to coach you. Their job is to counsel you look for another job. Their job is to vermitteln, to look for another job for you, and to guide you, to support you so that you should not go through depression, and to also help you in the job search. So if you are there, the work of the social worker in that area will be, I mean, apart from those who are getting the Geldleistung for the money that you're waiting for your money, but that one that is for the Eingliederung. They call it Eingliederung. They want to bring you back into the job market. They will try their best to bring you back into the job market. They will propose you practicals. They'll propose you Umschulungen. They'll propose you. So their job is to propose, to look for you, to check what is around, and then propose you in the also to counsel you. So what people will say, they will coach you as individuals so that you get into the job market, and then they'll help you also in the process to be looking for a job for you. And that's why they'll be sending you job offers. This is a job, go and apply for it and all that. And at times they will help you also do what we call your Lebenslauf. Bewerbungsbüro. They will guide you, they will do your Lebenslauf with you, your CV, and then you can be able to have a job. And then their work is done. Their work is internet coaching, so they coach you individually. Their work is Begleitung, so they accompanied you so that you get a job. Did you get the job? Yes, then his work or her work is done. Their work is to help you with the Lebenslauf, put it well down, help you guide you. The work is done, yes. Now, another area will be the Schuldenberatung. If you have a lot of debt and then you need to go out of that debt, also a trained social worker is working there. Am I, are you getting me? Also, a trained social worker is working there. I will use different methods, different approach to guide you so that you can come out of your slavery, financial slavery.
Okay.
So for those who are always going to the, if you go to job center from today, know that the person behind there is a social worker actually. Face it. For those coming into the social work, what will I tell them? Was that the question? Yes. I think that I'm talking a lot about social work, and everybody may be tempted to say, "Oh, maybe if it's a good thing, I should go there." And if Vera succeeded in that area, then I should also go there. There's a lot of prosperity in that area. Or maybe it's also a booming area now. There's a lot of work opportunity. We are looking for employees, for workers, colleagues, without getting people because many migrants are not in the area. And then so everybody thinks, oh, it's a simple work. I just go and do social work and I become a social worker. Um, well, it can also be that case, but I would say that if someone is really enthusiastic in really counseling people, in really supporting people, in seeing the potentials in people, and really wanting to help those people come out, then it is their sector of work. I remember when I wanted to study social work at the age of 11, I knew already what I was going to do. So it wasn't because I came to Germany to study social work. I knew very quick that it was my purpose, and the sense of my existence was to make people fulfill their purpose. So, and I needed to find out exactly if it was the area of jurisdiction or the area of writing or the area of pedagogy, using the different tools. All these areas are helping people, even medicinal, they are helping people, but they're using different tools to help people. And that's why it's important for people to know the different tools that one can need and need use to help or support people. So for me, it is it will be good for many people with African heritage to really study social work because there's a lot of potentials there. There's a lot of work in that area. Since there are crises, when there are crises, people need help. So we will be needing a lot of people. And of course, because the community is growing, and as the community is growing, we need real professionals. We don't want people who just say by their experience and counsel people with their own experiences. That's not a social worker. A social worker is really not using her own experiences to counsel people. You need the law, you need the techniques, you need preventive work and all that. So we need more social workers in the community, professional social workers who will also sit at the Jugendamt. I also forgot to mention that area. That's a very important sector where our parents always have problems. So we need a lot of social workers who will sit at the area in Jugendamt and help the Jugendamt personnel to understand the need of the people. So the people should not only create organizations, but they should also work in the organizations that are already existing. So even in as much as it is good to start up a social work business, it's important that we also stay in those structures that are long-term structures, so that we can be able to help also the structures to grow, to open up, and be able to create more impact on the clients, because the clients are everybody. It doesn't matter if the person is Africa, European, Asian, American. If they need help, then they need help. If they need support, they need support. So question, I think someone
Germany.
was asking a question. I don't know if someone was asking this question. Is
Yes,
it
thank you.
possible to get a job as a social worker with B1? Well, it's not the language that makes you not get the job. It's a qualification that makes you get the job or not get the job. If you have, and he says, or the person says, the person has social science educational background from home country. Now, social science education is not directly also social work, but they have a relate somehow. They can go hand in hand, they can go together, but it's not social work. And therefore, the person will need what we call anekeno, the recognition of their certificates. If their certificates are recognized, also like a social science person, um, it will be important that the person should have maybe worked also in these areas of socials for some time, and then the different sectors with whom they work could recognize them, like Quereinsteiger. So they will still need to do some training, some Fortbildungs and all that, so that they can be recognized as Quereinsteiger in the area of social work. Quereinsteiger means someone that is coming from another profession into the social work. And now this would also depend in what area. Let's take, for example, the Migrationsberatung. Migrationsberatung is a project, an area funded by the BAMF, which is a Ministry for Refugee and Migration. And they insist that no, we just want social workers or social pedagogy or educators. Now, but then because we keep telling them someone can be having, may not be a social worker per profession, but have the skills and tools and have another profession. Then they also limit and say, okay, maybe people with social science educational background could be, but condition will be they have to go through some trainings again, and then they have to recognize those trainings, and then they have to have worked in those areas of social work before they could then work as a social worker. So it's not because of just having the social science education doesn't qualify you to work as a social worker. Glatt gesagt. And then it is not the B1 that's the problem. And apropos B1, I think that this is not the time people should be thinking I have B1 or I don't have B1. Everyone listening to me now should really take time to work on their language, and really, really not only have B1 but also have B2 and also have C1, because you have to, if you want to get into the market and really this behaupten and really also make a career, then you should be able to also stand out. People who manage kindergartens are social workers. So for you to be able to get to the point of managing the kindergarten and have employees with you, then you should be able to have the language. So you don't just want to go and say, I want to become a social educator and stay at that level. You want to move forward. So that's why we say there's career opportunities in the social services at the start. You don't just want to go and say, okay, I want to just be social worker and work with families. When you get there, then you want to be the Abteilungsleiter for Soziale Dienste. And for that, you will not
Yeah.
only have the social worker degree, you have to have a master's degree, even at that, and then long years of profession. So we should not only limit and say, oh, that's all. The people, if we knew the different possibilities that are there, they will understand that it has a wide range and with so much possibilities. And then you can also say, I want to have a social business, social business, no? And if you have a social business, then you need again a more bigger knowledge of every sector so that you can be able to damit du dich behaupten kann, so that you can really pass in into the market. If not, you'll be limited to do integration work and calling it social work. Or you'll be tempted to do cultural work and you're calling it social work. In Germany, everything is well classified. You don't do integration work and then you call it social work. You don't do the developmental work and you call it social work. You don't do culture work and you call it social work. You don't do events and then you call it social work. You don't do gathering of people together and then you call it social work. You don't go and train people and then you call it social work. You see, so there are different areas, and there's a lot of possibilities there. But if you just want to be at the local level to help the community at the local level, a bachelor degree is good. And of course, even at that level, you need to also do lobby work. So, and the problem with many people, they think that social work ends with I'm going to help people. That's just a kleiner brook, a small part of it, because you have to understand.
Kleine,
Eh?
that's the kleine Brook.
Just small part of it, because you have to understand how to manage the people. You also have to understand how to do lobbyism, lobby work, political work, because social work is partly. So you do a grace partai. You take part of the client's life, and therefore you have to understand the different political scenarios. So a social worker is not just going and helping people, cooking food to people and showing them the offices. That's the least part of it. Social worker is not the one doing the language course. That's the least part of it. And then for those who are in the refugee camps and they're calling everybody my social, that's the least part of it. Those that are calling in their social, it's not even their social workers and integration helper that is coming to help them. So there's real
Yes.
potential in the area, and please, we should really see the bigger picture of it. And if you cannot do lobby work, if you cannot do political work, social work is also part of political work is also part of social work. Verwaltung, being able to manage, is also part of social work. And then of course the law, if you do not know the law, you don't want to read the law, then get out of the sector. You can't be a social worker, because at the end of the day, when you don't write concept with, I saw people that are doing they're doing events, and many people are going there, and then you just want to go do events as well, and then you say you're helping people. No, you have to have the grunt for the basis. Why are you wanting to do this? And all that is defined in laws. That's why you have the SGB 8, you have the SGB 2, you have the SGB 3, SGB 4. All this is well defined, and social workers have the mastery of that, not the mastery. They know at least where that is, so that each time they need, they can go and check it. And then taking care of the people is just a part of it.
Another question for you. So she says, I would like to work with children and women. Where can I work in the future? Time. Yeah.
Your line was breaking again. The person wants to work with children and women.
Yes.
Mhm. Now, again, I said social work has diverse areas. So, working with women and girls and is one part of it. Mädchenarbeit. Now, that gives Mädchenpolitik. Everything is have with politik. Then there's children and youth with the SGB 8. So, if you want to work there, then you have to do social work. Well, you have a degree, you can now choose. No? Once you have that paper, once you have that certificate, or if you have already a certificate and you succeed to recognize that certificate, like the person who talked about social sciences, you succeed to recognize it, and maybe you do a few trainings. like 6 months training or even 1 year to maybe Familien, systemische Familienhilfe zum Beispiel. Ne? Systemische Familienhilfe, you can really work with families. And when you work with families, you're working with children. And there's no family work without children work. And the area of girls and women is also a specific work, like Beratungsstelle Frauenhäusen, Beratungsstellen für Frauen und Mädchen. These are also specific. But if you're interested, then you apply for the job there. And when you have the qualification, you just send your CV and say, I'm a social worker and I've been working with girls for the past 5 years. And I would like to work in your organization. There are Beratungsstelle for that. They are mention different topics on that. It's different. So it's not even a problem to have a job on that.
So someone said also if they can get your in her email information as well as ask more information if you need. And someone says thank you.
You're welcome. They can always check me on Facebook and all websites there. We are there already.
We wouldn't want to make it too long.
That's good.
Just write them down. We'll still answer all of it. And Vera.
Thank you so much, and keep up the good job. And anyone who is interested to know more, they should actually follow our work, and they will see the variety of social work. And God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in and for your questions. Yes, and you want to go into this area for us as well, you can always send us a message, expand on your ideas on different. I want to say thank you so much, and I hope and wish you a wonderful year. And we'll come to the end of. Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed day.
Thank you so much. Bless you. Bye bye.